Hi all, if you've been wondering for the past 2 years at least, what is happening to the idea at least of international law and the facade of countries upholding it, this video is for you. And I'm recording it obviously after the US attack, illegal invasion, illegal kidnapping of a head of state, Nicolas Maduro, at the beginning of this year, which was a reminder of a couple of things. And one is very simple, but maybe not that obvious in a way, that it is not only Israel that has shown us for, well, many decades, but the last 2 years and more now, that it can do whatever it wants. It can completely destroy Gaza, its healthcare system, its educational system, systems to sustain life, right? And still nothing would happen. There is no accountability, there's only impunity. And maybe you were also wondering, international, like what's happening to institutions, like why aren't the countries? And now seeing this, right, the US blatantly attacking, saying we want to run this country, we're going to take its soil. So it's not new, right? It's very clear what are the countries, these are not the only countries, but what are the countries that have been very blatantly mocking, destroying, completely disregarding with contempt international law. But what is maybe less clear or maybe more painful to admit is that who is still enabling it. So it's not just the countries that are engaged in criminal activity, but it's also the international community that chooses not to do anything about it, that chooses to do nothing, to stay silent, or to continue, or to even increase its collaboration with the criminals. So I'm from Lithuania, which is part of the EU also, and now reading the statement that the EU just released on US's illegal invasion, an illegal attack, on another sovereign state, Venezuela. No aggressor is mentioned. It's unclear who's the aggressor. But both sides are encouraged to refrain from further escalation. Both sides. Maybe equal sides. Maybe one did and then the other one. It's like this. And then obviously, yes, Maduro's regime, we don't like it. There's no aggressor. There's no condemnation of aggression. It's only this lukewarm, we should release something, but it's gonna be just a very, we don't want to anger the US. The US that is now threatening to invade Greenland, which is part of Denmark. So this is where your kindness and bowing down to empires will take you. Right? So just seeing that complicity, or just that bowing down to the states again, not by all European states and not by the whole world, obviously, but just that example, we're gonna accommodate, we're just gonna. And this is what the EU and many countries, not all countries, once again, there are some brave countries, I'm like, thank you for existing. But when you take the EU example, in Israel's case, it's even worse because the EU has not really imposed any significant sanctions, nothing changed, everything's fine. Israel is just another normal country that violates international law daily, whose prime minister is still wanted for crimes against humanity and war crimes. But it doesn't matter. We're going to bow down. My country, Lithuania, invites Israeli officials, is strengthening its collaboration in many areas with Israel for the past 2 years. So international law, it's not only about the countries that are committing crimes, right? But it is about how other countries react, what they do. Is there anything? Is there a line that cannot be crossed? That is a very scary question. So we're seeing international law just crumbling, right? Just completely crumbling because of Israel's actions, very clearly shown to us on our screens for years. And now another reminder, and not only a reminder of what the US did in Venezuela, but also the language, right? The gloves are off. There's not even a pretense, why it's being done, just good old colonialism. We want the resources. We're going to take it. We're going to run this place. And I think what we all have to understand this year, if we hadn't gotten it yet, and I'm saying this to myself, that this is the reality. This is the reality. Fascism is not around the corner. It's not like in the future somewhere. And obviously, hey, if you ask your Muslim friends from India, they can tell you more about fascism, right? So it's never gone, like it's always somewhere there, right? But it's not in the future. It's not around the corner. And I have to say, I just watched a video today of an ICE agent shooting a person in the face. Masked government agents who are snatching people off the streets. No arrest warrants, right? It's not about due process. There is no due process to do that. These are illegal actions, right? These are kidnappings of people. And now a person got shot in the face by one of the agents. And I was thinking, there is a scene in V for Vendetta. I believe it's both in a graphic novel and it's definitely in the film, where a government agent shot a child, a girl who's wearing the V mask, right? That happens. People see it. And as implied by the storytelling, by the narration, a revolution starts. So we're seeing this video of a woman being shot in the face by an ICE agent. And what we have also seen are over 20,000 children killed by Israel on our watch. This is the reality that we live in. There is no parallel universe where that isn't happening. There is no parallel universe where all these children are alive somewhere. We can try to avoid reality. We can try to not be very engaged with the reality, but this is the reality. And this is also the reality where our bodies live in, right? We can tell ourselves, it's all fine, whatever, but the body knows because the body lives in this reality. So the question is then, if we admit, if we understand, if we are aware that this is the reality, this is the world we live in, right? Then how do we have to be in the way, right? Because we cannot escape it. And I do ask myself that question very often, like, okay, so how do I operate? How do I show up in this world as a human being, as a woman, as a white woman with privileges, as someone whose background is in political science, someone who has this, academic and personal connection to Palestine, someone who is a citizen of a country that shakes hands glowingly with the fascist regime, someone who lives on a continent that was just attacked by the states, right? Many layers, and your layers are different, I understand, but some of them are there probably, So a new year started, and these questions, they are as relevant as never before. And my very honest answer, I have to say, I was like, I want a moment of stillness. I need some, and I do. And like, who doesn't need some stillness and like solitude, right? And just like a moment. Who doesn't need that? That and community and moments of joy. Like we know it. And when I look around, I'm like, I do need that stillness, yes, always. But what I need more is more fierceness, more courage, more freaking militancy, less shrinking, less smallness, more speaking out, more action. Because look at the state of the world. Because this is the only reality we have. And if we're not happy with the direction, not only direction, but where we are now, then we have to operate in a certain way. But I think the first step is to actually understand, no matter how scary it is, that this is the reality. And then once we get it, no matter how horrible, grotesque, scary, just like what the actual F, the feeling is, yes. But we take that step, we look around, and then we decide how we want to show up. And if there's one thing that the past years have made clear to us, is that no ideas of international law, no leaders who might proclaim them and then not show up in ways according to how they speak, right? This is not where our hope should be. This is not where our only trust, if we have any, should be because they have shown us what their morals, values, and principles are. We're like, okay, I know it now. This is also the reality that my government doesn't care too much about international law. My government doesn't care too much about human rights. So I have to process and integrate that as well. Okay, this is how it is. And then again, how do I operate and with whom? Like, who's in my community? How do I take that action? How do I best use my skills and talents and maybe other resources as well, right? It is so important that we ask those questions and that we answer them with honesty. And I will say something very, very cheesy, but it's not just for yourself, right? It's really for our communities, for our local communities and our global communities. So let's ask these questions, let's answer them honestly, and let's continue taking that action this crazy already year. So thank you so much, and I will see you soon.